Welcome to the Capacity Podcast. I'm Gemma Kelly, a women's wellness coach and breathwork facilitator. And this podcast is for women who are strong, capable, and living very full lives. Women who care about their health and want to feel good in their bodies, but often feel this quiet pressure that they should be doing more, coping better, or just holding everything together. And what I've learned over the years is that most women don't have a motivation problem. They have a capacity problem. Their nervous systems are overloaded, their lives are full, and their bodies are just asking for a different kind of support. So in this podcast, we talk about breath work, movement, nervous system health, and what it really takes to rebuild your energy in modern life. So if this resonates with you, please make sure that you follow or subscribe so you don't miss any of the episodes, and you can come and say hi on Instagram. I'm at Gemma Kelly Wellness. Thank you for being here. I'm really glad that you found this space. Let's get into today's episode. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Capacity Podcast. In the last episode, we talked about something that I see all the time in the women that I work with, in the women who I'm friends with, the women who I meet at events, which is that women who appear the most capable on the outside are often the most exhausted underneath. And it's not because they're weak, but because they've been carrying a huge amount of responsibility for a very long time. And today I want to talk about something that sits underneath that exhaustion. So we're going a bit deeper today, because when you start looking a little bit deeper, and I'm a really big fan of self-inner work and deep conversations, I love a DMC, you begin to notice that many women are running certain patterns in the background of their lives. And the interesting thing about these patterns is that most of the time we don't even realize that we're doing them. They're just like, they just feel like our personality. But these patterns can quietly drain a huge amount of energy. And over the last few years, I've noticed that many high-functioning women who I work with are unknowingly running some of these combinations, pattern combinations. And for the sake of shortening things for a podcast, I've narrowed it down to 6 common patterns that I have identified. And yes, I can identify with many of these myself. And the first one is this, the over-functioner. Now, this is the woman who holds everything together. She is the organizer, the fixer, the problem solver. If something needs doing, she's the one who's going to do it. And if something goes wrong, she's going to sort it out. And while this makes her incredibly capable, it also means that she ends up carrying a lot more than her fair share. The second pattern, the good girl. The one most of us were taught, this one very, very early on in life. And actually something that I really have to be considerate of when I'm parenting, because I have 2 girls. And the good girl is the one who doesn't want to upset anyone. She keeps the peace, she's considerate, she's responsible. But sometimes that comes at the cost of her own needs. She finds herself saying yes when she means no, she pushes when she's exhausted, and she doesn't want to disappoint anyone. I'm imagining some of you nodding at the moment. The third pattern is the achiever. This woman wants to get things done. She sets goals. She works hard. She's used to pushing through challenges and figuring stuff out. And again, these are all wonderful qualities. But when the achiever pattern is running too strongly, rest can start to feel uncomfortable. Maybe it can start to feel like something that must be earned. And there's always something else to do. The to-do list is endless. Something else to improve, something else to learn, something else to accomplish. The fourth pattern is the invisible woman. And this one is particularly common in midlife. This is the woman who quietly puts everyone else first. The children, the partner, the parents, the job. Everyone else's needs are front and center. And her needs gradually move further and further down the pecking list until one day she realizes that she's not quite sure where she fits anymore. The fifth pattern, the inner critic. Most women know this voice very, very well. In fact, it comes up a lot in my coaching. And it's the one that says, you should be doing better. You should be more organized. You should be coping better than this. It's the voice that keeps raising the bar and moving the goalposts, no matter how much you're already doing. And the last pattern is something that I call the Abandonment Protector. And this one is actually a little more subtle. And it's the part of us that works very, very hard to make sure that we're not rejected, criticized, or left out. So we try and be helpful, supportive, reliable, easy to be around. And again, I just want to be really clear. None of these things are bad. But when the protector is running the show, we can end up working very, very hard to keep everyone else comfortable whilst quietly ignoring ourselves and our needs. Now, I don't know how you felt listening to some of those patterns. And when I talk about these in coaching, I often see women just sitting there quietly kind of nodding, that gentle kind of knowing. And then they usually say something like, well, I'm probably about 3 of those. And honestly, that's usually true. Most women are not just running one of these patterns. They're running 2, 3, sometimes 4 at the same time. And maybe you can relate to all of them on some level. So imagine what this looks like in real life. You're overfunctioning, trying to keep everyone happy, working hard, holding yourself to the highest standards and putting your own needs last. There's a lot of pressure for one nervous system to carry, right? So when women start feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or emotionally stretched, it's not surprising. It makes complete sense because the nervous system's been trying to support all of those patterns for a very, very long time. And this is where awareness becomes really, really powerful. Because once you can see these patterns, you can actually start working with them instead of just being driven by them. You can start to notice when you're overfunctioning, when the good girl is saying yes again, when the achiever is pushing a little bit too hard. That awareness is often the first step in rebuilding capacity, because your goal here is not to get rid of these parts of yourself. And again, I'm going to say that again. Your goal here is not to get rid of these parts of yourself. Many of them have actually helped you build a really meaningful life. The goal is simply to bring a bit more balance and allow for a bit more support and a bit more space for your own nervous system. Because when you're running 2 or 3 of these patterns at the same time, no wonder you're tired. So I'm going to leave it there. I would love to know how this episode resonated with you. If you want to let me know, you can send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Gemma Kelly Wellness. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Capacity Podcast. And in the next episode, little spoiler alert, we're going to talk about something that I think is really important in the wellness space, which is this idea that women need to fix themselves, and why that narrative can actually make things harder for you than actually make it easier. So I'll leave it there. See you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.